If you've ever been in a hospital, you've seen benchmarking at work, and you may not have even noticed it. You would have noticed the machine because it never stops beeping. But if you look at things like that, you can see all those numbers there in the graphs and all that. That's kind of the process of benchmarking. You can see that there are a whole bunch of different numbers, and there's really not just one way of telling whether someone is, very, very sick. Someone with a good heart rate might not have, a good respiratory rate, or, might not have good oxygen stats or something. So you really need to look at all these different benchmarks. And these are the key variables. These are the main things that you need to look at for telling whether it's actually working or not. So if you've tried a new treatment or something, that's how you would do it. So like I said in the last video, there's no single measurement that's going to tell you whether your HR management is effective. You need to look at indicators. Benchmarking is comparing your business's performance in specific areas to benchmarks. The benchmarks are specific levels. Now, what are the areas? The areas are staff turnover, absenteeism, accidents, the level of disputation, and the level of worker satisfaction. Now, where do you get the levels from, though, for each of these? Where do you get an acceptable level of staff turnover, of absenteeism? Well, you might compare it to industry standards. There might actually be, legal standards or something like that. But the industry that you're in, you can't just say, look, a level of staff turnover of, 10% is excellent, because in some businesses that might not be excellent. In some businesses that might be fantastic. Like if that was, in retail or something, it might be excellent. You could look at global standards, or you could even look at the competitors, especially the most successful ones. If if you can get a hold of those figures, if you know the standards of your competitors and you're trying to beat your competitors, say in absenteeism or whatever, then you're going to be able to compete with them because you work on that. You know that your level of absenteeism of your workers is going to be better than theirs because you're going to work on it. So that's what benchmarking is. It's comparing your standards to the actual standards, the industry standards, global standards, competitor standards. You compare in those specific areas. So we're going to go through each of those areas, and then that'll be it for human resources.